Welcome back to the PHOTOPEA tutorial series. In the last video we covered the interface and general layout. In this video we'll focus on working with layers and making basic image edits. So layers in PHOTOPEA work similarly to other image editors. Each element, text, image or shape sits on its own layer, allowing independent editing. So let's start by importing an image. I take the image from the website called pexels.com. For example, this one. So after downloading the image, I import it into PHOTOPEA. We can see that it appears on its own layer in the right-hand layers panel. Next, I'll add a text element. And as you can see, it's also added as a new layer. You can toggle visibility using the eye icon like this. So click to hide or show individual layers. This is useful when working with complex compositions. So let's use the text and write something there. And you can also change this size. But we will dive further into the text in the next videos. And also layers can be rearranged by clicking and dragging them up or down in the layers panel like this. The higher a layer is, the more on top it appears visually. So if I put the text down, then it won't be visible at all because the image covers the full layer of the text. To rename a layer, double-click on its name and type in a new label, like this. You can also group multiple layers using Ctrl+G or Command+G on Mac. So you select both of these layers and then click. And here is the new folder created, and you can also change its name. And to open it up, you click on this arrow here and there will be all the layers that are in the group. To duplicate a layer, right-click and choose Duplicate Layer. And to delete it, press the Delete key. Or on the keyboard you can just select Delete, or there is also an icon of the trash can on the bottom. Now let's do some basic image adjustments. So we select a layer, then go to Image and Adjustments. Here we can see a bunch of different modifications that you can do to an image. And for now I'll just adjust the brightness and contrast slightly. And click on OK. These changes affect only the selected layer, so it won't affect the whole file unless you select all of the layers there. Now let's explore other functions, for example levels. So now you will see a histogram with 3 main sliders underneath it. Black point, which is shadows, is the left slider that moves darkest tones, and you can drag it to the right to make more of the image pure black, like here you can see in the preview, so it increases contrast. Then there is midtones, that is middle slider, the gray one. It adjusts the brightness of midtones without affecting the extremes. And you can drag left to lighten midtones and right to darken them. And the last one is white point, or highlights. It moves the brightest tones. So you drag to the left to make more of the image pure white, which also boosts contrast. Underneath it, there are output levels. So the left is 0 and the right is 255, which is white. So dragging this limits the darkest or brightest values, which is great for creating faded or muted looks. So your darkest shadow is at level 30 on the histogram. Dragging the black point to 30 tells PHOTOPEA this is now black. And same idea with highlights, you can redefine what counts as white. So why would you use them? Levels are good to fix washed out or underexposed photos, boost contrast, adjust color per channel, RGB ones for color correction or creative grading, and it also works non-destructively with adjustment layers. The next thing is curves. Curves is one of the most powerful tools in Photoshop and PHOTOPEA for tonal and color correction because it gives you fine-grained control over the entire tonal range, and not just with 3 sliders like in levels, but with a customizable curve. So here's the graph, the tone curve, with a diagonal line from the bottom left to the top right. Horizontal axis, input, so original tones, and vertical axis is output, what you want these tones to become. So bottom left is shadows, mid is midtones, and top right highlights. So you can add points by clicking on the line like I just did, and drag points up or down to make areas lighter or darker. So to brighten it, you drag it up, and to darken, you drag it down. So for an example, we can create a gentle S-curve, so pull shadows down a bit and push highlights up to increase the contrast. And to flatten it, reduce the contrast for a more muted or faded look. You can also work by channel. So here we have the RGB channels, so all 3 of them. And you can switch to red, green, or blue individually for color grading or fixing color codes, for fixing color casts. So by pulling up the red curve, there will be more red in the image, and pulling it down, it adds cyan. And same goes for green. So up is green and down is magenta. And blue. Up is blue and down is yellow. So curves have more precision than levels. It's better for complex tonal corrections and ideal for contrast control, dodging and burning, vintage film looks, cinematic grading, and other. And it's very good for pro-level photo editing. The next is exposure. As well as the exposure itself, there are also offset and gamma correction settings. Offset shifts all pixels values uniformly. So think of it like adding a constant brightness to everything. It affects the shadows and midtones the most. So by increasing offset, it makes the image look washed out or foggy like this. And by decreasing it, it makes the image darker, especially in the shadows, making it more contrasting. Gamma correction instead controls midtone brightness. So if gamma is +1, it makes the midtones darker, and if it's less than 1, it makes midtones brighter. So basically offset is linear brightness shift and gamma is midtones brightness control, while exposure is just the general exposure of the image and its brightness. So this was the tutorial on layers in PHOTOPEA, as well as basic image adjustments like exposure and contrast, level, and curves. We learned how layers allow non-destructive, organized editing by stacking and adjusting different elements separately. We then adjusted exposure to correct overall brightness and use contrast to enhance the distinctions between light and dark areas. Then we explored levels and worked with the histogram. And finally, we learned the curves and learned how they work and how to adjust the curves by each of the RGB channel. And thank you for watching and see you in the next videos.